We'll get rolling here. Don't try to throw me off my game. But yeah, welcome to class 3, talking about pain and inflammation today. Obviously, that's a big deal. So many people are struggling with pain and inflammation, so definitely wanted to cover this early on in my series of stuff. So yeah, and you guys can get the previous notes online. They're on the website. And this class, I simplified the notes and only put the notes for the actual herbs and some different things, but I'll be talking about more than that so that you guys can actually take more notes, and then there'll be more online available later as far as the notes go. But yeah, the previous classes I go through a lot of foundational stuff for health and wellness in general, so you might refer to that for a lot of stuff. I know some of you were here previously and some of you haven't been, but so yeah, to start off with, gosh, yeah, it's crazy how pain and inflammation is affecting so many people today. It's almost like the norm. We just think that that's normal and that's what to expect, and obviously it's not supposed to be normal, and it's not the way God designed things. And so, yeah, the general thing is we've strayed as a people from the way God designed things to operate, and the way He designed us to nourish our bodies and treat our bodies, and therefore we've gotten away from that, and people are in more pain and more inflammation, more chronic disease than ever before. So there's always trying to get back to the way that God created things. And so in a lot of my last classes, I talked about just some scriptures, how God created things from the beginning. He gave us all the seed-bearing fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and that was His original design. Yeah, I'd even talked a little bit about the life of Daniel and how he chose not to eat the king's delicacies that day, but said, no, we'll eat the vegetables. Just give us vegetables and water. And it actually meant more than vegetables. He was talking about pulse, which, if you go back and understand what that is, it's all the seed-bearing, fresh items of the day. So basically going right back to what God said, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables. And of course, we've strayed from that today, and man has decided that he's smarter than God and tried to create things himself and alter them and alter God's creation, and that's led to all sorts of crazy things. So we need to always be thinking about how we can partner back with God in our health in every area of our life, not just our physical health, but that's obviously one of the main things I'm here to talk about, and one of the big areas that I believe is under attack from the enemy and on our health and our food system. And so yeah, I mean, so many people are in chronic pain, and they think it's normal, like I said, and it's obviously not. And a lot of people don't think there's any hope, but of course we know with God there's always hope. There's always hope. There's, from the low grade pain and inflammation to somebody with chronic, severe rheumatoid arthritis, there's hope that you can completely reverse that. Doctors might not tell you that, but I've heard countless stories and seen it of the worst people, crippled and can't even hardly move and can't even move their joints. You start partnering with God back in your health and add in some different things, alkalize, detoxify that body, everything loosens up, you get movement back. I mean, just crazy stories. Of course, He can supernaturally heal in a moment too. But and I love when He does that, and we should always contend for that. But He's mainly wanting us to also just partner with Him in the design He created our bodies to function a certain way. So yeah, I know in the last class about athletes, I went super in depth about nutrition and food combining and staying alkaline and the acid-alkaline balance. So that's a good reference to go back to. But because I'm not going to go super in depth on the nutrition side today. But yeah, I mean, it's just sad that people are trusting more in man-made solutions, man-made foods, rather than the way God designed things. And of course, that's causing problems. Anytime we stray from God's design and His will, His nature, we encounter problems. So, people are in pain and they're wanting to rely on, they don't want to change their diet. They want to take some pharmaceutical drug that's a synthetic, that's created by man. And all it ever does anyway is it just covers up the symptoms. It doesn't ever cure the actual reason of what's going on. So, and most of the time you take it and it might cover up those symptoms, but it's going to throw other things out of balance even more. It's funny. You guys ever see the commercials on TV about such and such pharmaceutical drug, and then it lists, like, half the commercial is them explaining all the side effects. It's like, why would you even want to take that? That's crazy. So in some of the last classes I've talked about with herbs, we like to say pharmaceutical drugs have side effects, and God's creations, herbs, fruits, vegetables, they have side benefits. So you might take something to help with pain, but then it's not going to tear down the body and throw it out of balance. It's actually going to strengthen other areas of the body too. That's why I love herbs. I mean, I just love learning about all these things that God gave us and he created. And I joked in the last class too, but I bet it was like this in the Garden of Eden where God's walking with Adam and Eve and he's showing them all these things, and this does this, and eat this for this, and the bark of this tree will take away pain, and this herb, if you make a tea out of it, will give you more energy. And so I just nerd out on different things that he created. So because I love it. I love learning about all the cool things he made. In the last class too, I just wanted to cover this real quick, and because like I said, I mean, people are in this chronic pain and they think it's normal. They just think they have to live with it and there's nothing can be done. Well, in the last class, I went in depth and talked about there's been lots of studies done studying these cultures around the world that are still living the way that basically they have for thousands of years. They're far and few between nowadays, but they're still living off the land. They're still using their original, like traditions for health and for wellness and being active and farming on the land and using herbs. And so I talked about there's several books written where people have gone and studied these cultures that are they're not eating the processed foods. They're making their own food, living off the land the way God intended it. And it's crazy because they're living into their hundreds. Like, that's the norm. I think there was one guy that was 118 and somebody was joking with him and said something, I hope you live to be as old as Moses or something. And he got mad. He's like, no, I want to live way past that. I'm 118. Like, so there's been countless stories of people living 120, 130, 150 years. And what's crazy is they'll do studies and they find no incidence of cancer, heart disease, or mental illness. It's just crazy. That's supposed to be what the norm is. God designed our bodies, if we give it the right things, to function at a very high level. Just you don't see that very often today. So it should be the norm that we're living into our hundreds, without pain, without chronic disease, full of energy. The other thing about these guys is a lot of the cultures are like up in the mountains in the Himalayas and stuff. Every day they're active hiking up the mountains. One of the guys that I think it was John Robbins, Healthy to 100, it's one of the books. He's like, I'm an active, fit guy. And I'm out here with these guys that are 90, 100 years old hiking the mountain, and they're outdoing me. It's just crazy because that's what they're eating the way God designed it. They're being active. We were meant to be active. I don't know if you guys understand that too, but I love being active, and I wish I could be even more active, not to sit in an office all day and then go home and sit on the couch all day. And then, you know what I mean? Like, we're meant to be active. It's a little bit harder in our lifestyles today, but we need to figure out how we can be more active, because that's a big part of our health and wellness too. So, we're not supposed to be dying in our 60s, 70s, 80s, full of disease, full of pain, full of suffering. That isn't the way God designed things. I think there's some scripture, and I'm not a detailed person, that talked about one of the guys in the Bible living to old and being full of vigor, and his eyes didn't grow dim. Like, that's what's normal. We're not supposed to lose our eyesight, lose our ability to have energy, be in pain, all that stuff. So, we're under attack by a lot of things. And it's interesting, a couple years ago, I shared a little bit in the first class, but I was really pressing in about some stuff for a family member of mine that was really sick with a chronic degenerative disease, my mother, and God just started to show me and say a lot to me, and it really opened my eyes about how we're under attack, and it's especially been in the last 100 years on our food system. The enemy's trying to take us out early so that we couldn't fulfill our callings. People are dying earlier. You know, he's attacking us in our bodies and in our minds. He's attacking us in all areas, but especially in this last 100 years in our food system and our supplies and on our bodies. Because if we're, it's like we're body, soul, and spirit. It all ties together. We're supposed to be healthy and prosperous in every area, and if one is lacking, it pulls the other ones down. If your body is weak and sick and diseased and in pain, it's going to dull your spirit and your mind. So, he just showed me very clearly it's been an attack on the enemy, and we need to partner back with him so that we could be healthy at all levels. So yeah, and I'm going to get a little bit of water because my mouth's dry already. Yeah, and I just want to say thank God for pain. That might sound like a crazy thing, but pain, God designed our bodies to respond with pain, a sensation. It's supposed to tell us something. It's supposed to tell us that something isn't right. There's something wrong. And that could be from a lot of different reasons, but it's so crazy. People get a headache, and they just want to take something to cover it up. They don't want to address, well, why am I having a headache? And most headaches, the most common thing is just a dehydration. It's a simple thing. But there could be a lot of other more in-depth things, but it could be a simple fix. Is you're just probably a little dehydrated. But pain can mean a lot of different things. And so God designed us to be able to feel pain so it could tell us something. Thank God for pain, because if we touched a hot stove, we know to put our hand off because we know that's pain. We know it's bad. It's burning us. So God designed it that way, but he didn't design us to cover up the symptoms. What you do with, I'm a car guy too. I've worked on cars my whole life. I understand them. It's very simple to me. The equivalent of taking a drug to cover up the symptoms is like if your check engine light comes on, it's like unplugging the lights. I don't even want to address what's going on. I'm just going to unplug the light so it goes off so I don't think about it anymore. That's crazy. We know that. It's like more people take care of their cars better than they take care of their own body. We know that the cars need clean oil. It needs fuel. It needs the right kind of fuel. If you give it the wrong kind of fuel, it doesn't work very well. So you can't just pour high fructose corn syrup in the gas tank and expect it to run very good, right? Or a Coca-Cola. I don't know. I'm not willing to try it, but it's not going to work very good, I tell you that. But we put the wrong things. The car was designed to have certain air, fuel, spark, compression, exhaust, all this stuff. And we know what it's designed, and we give it what it's designed. Well, we need to learn what's designed for our bodies and give it that. Otherwise, it's going to throw everything off balance. So yeah, the pain is actually a good thing. We just need to address why are we having that pain. And that could be from a lot of reasons. So some of the main reasons that you get pain is acidosis. You're too acidic. Toxicity. You're not able to eliminate certain things, or you're putting too much toxins in the body. Adrenal weakness is a big one, and I talked about that in the first class. You guys can reference that as far as more stuff on adrenals, but the adrenals are huge for inflammation. They're the equivalent of, I joke and I've heard this said, but there's a fire station, and if your house burns on fire, the fire station sends out a truck and they put out the fire, right? Well, the fire station and the fire people are the equivalent of our adrenal glands, and the fire is the equivalent of inflammation. So if your adrenal glands aren't working good, the fire station can't come put out that fire. They produce all sorts of anti-inflammatory steroids, corticosteroids that help buffer pain and inflammation. So that's another big key thing, and there's a lot of reasons that your adrenals can be weak. But also there could be an actual injury that's causing pain too. And if there is, that's fine. The body heals itself. We know that if you give it the right things. But there could actually be an injury. But most of the time it's acidosis, toxicity, and an adrenal gland weakness. Or like I said, dehydration for headaches and stuff like that. So a couple key things too is that I've always learned in my classes, what you can't eliminate, you accumulate in your body. So talking about toxicity and acids, those are the two big things. If your body isn't functioning properly and your kidneys, your liver, your bowels, your skin, those are your eliminative organs. If they're not functioning properly and you're putting too much load on your body, it's amazing what our bodies can handle. The more I learn about how God created our bodies and what people are doing to damage their bodies, the more I'm like, He created our bodies so amazing. It's amazing that some people are still alive and functioning. When they're... It's crazy. Yeah, God's grace and the way He made the body is incredible. We can stand crazy amounts of toxins and poisons and not putting good stuff in, but eventually you're going to break down and you're not going to be able to function very well. But yeah, so what you can't eliminate, you accumulate in the body. And the body, he made it very intelligently. So I'm going to go more in depth on these 4 points: acidosis, toxicity, adrenal weakness. But so acidosis, I talked a lot about in the last class. We need to be in in a right acid-alkaline balance. God created both acids and alkaline. And we need both. But we need more alkaline stuff than we do acids. And today, most people are consuming acid-forming foods, meat, processed dairy, processed grains, sugar, alcohol, meats. All this stuff is very acidic forming in the body. Even cooking some foods can change them into an acid. You cook a tomato, it gets crazy acidic. I've heard that you cook a tomato and it can take chrome off a bumper of a car. That's how acidic it is. I've never tried it, but that's what I've heard. My car's not here, and I don't have a chrome bumper, so I'm not that cool. But yeah, it's crazy how you can cook something. It can actually change the properties because it's bonding things and altering the chemistry of the way God designed it. You know, some things are okay to cook, but in general, I'm more of a fan of the live, living foods the way God created them. So acidosis is huge because we're accumulating too many acids, and acids cause they cause change, they cause inflammation, they cause movement, they cause pain. Acids are very important. If we didn't have acids in our stomach, we couldn't break down foods. But past the stomach, everything else is typically an alkaline environment process. And if you consume too many acids, it's going to accumulate. Like I said, what you can't eliminate, your body accumulates. It'll put those acids somewhere. It can't have those acids in the bloodstream, so it's going to put them somewhere in the body if it can't get rid of them. I'm not a super detailed person like maybe some of you guys know, but there's a certain pH that the blood has to be or you'll die. And it's within like 0.2 of a pH. I forget what it is, but if it changes, you die. You won't live, period. So your body does everything it can to keep that balance. And if you start consuming acid foods, those acids go into the bloodstream, it starts doing stuff quick to get rid of those. It'll pull calcium, it's one of the most alkalizing minerals, out of the bones and out of the body and use that to buffer the acids in the blood, which is a big reason for tons of studies I've done and classes I've taken have talked about acidosis being one of the main reasons for osteoporosis and bone decay. That's a whole thing. I don't want to get off on that tangent, but they've done studies that they're all about milk and for calcium and for your bones. And the countries and the places that consume the most milk actually have the most osteoporosis and the most bone loss. So that's a whole other thing. But acidosis will erode your bones because it's using calcium to buffer. But also, it's got to put those acids somewhere. And it will try to excrete those through the skin, through the bowels, through the urine, filtering them through the kidneys. But if it can't, then it's going to resort to other things. So a lot of times people will start to get pain and inflammation first in their joints that are the furthest away from the organs of the body. God's smart. You don't want those acids accumulating in the midsection where the main organs are. It's going to put them as far away as possible from the body. So you get them in people get gout, acid crystals in the big toe, or you get them way out in the joints of the hand. It's accumulating those acids in those joints, trying to put them somewhere safe or safer than other places. But acidosis causes so many things. It also, like, the more alkaline you are, the more oxygenated you are. So the more acidic you are, the less oxygen. There's been several studies done that in an alkaline environment, you can't, like cancer can't thrive. It can't even be in an alkaline environment, nor can certain viruses, parasites, pathogens. When you get acidic, those things thrive. They love that low oxygen. It just feeds on that type of stuff. So anyway, that's kind of acidosis. Toxicity, same type of thing. We're putting too many chemicals in our body. And another one of the things that I've said this every class, and I hope it gets ingrained in a lot of you, and it might be good to write down, but what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe, and what we put on our skin determines the health of our cells. And I can say that again if you want to write that down. But yeah, what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe, and what we put on our skin determines the health of our internal environment and the health of down to the cellular level. So everybody knows like what we eat, but yeah, what we drink. People are drinking alcohol and sodas and high fructose corn syrup drinks, and it's just crazy. He designed us to drink water. A little bit of herbal tea or something is okay, but yeah, and then what we put on our skin, that's a big one because people don't realize the skin is the largest organ on the body, and it will absorb things right into the body, right into the bloodstream. So it's almost as important, if not more important, than what you eat. People are putting chemicals on their skin. So we have a saying too, like if you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your skin. So that's a whole other thing, but yeah, that's going to determine the health of your cells. And so yeah, when we're consuming too many toxins, the body's got to do something with that, and it can overburden your body. Your eliminative organs might not be working as well, and then again, it's got to, what you don't eliminate, you accumulate. So it's going to put those toxins somewhere, and it will find parts in the body to put it, which can cause inflammation and pain and other host of problems. But like I said, it's real common to get them in the joints because it's really far away from the organs and the toes. But then that starts going systemically if it's not stopped. It goes through the whole body. So in adrenal weakness, I kind of touched on that a little bit. But yeah, the adrenals are like, they're crazy. They're one of the most important glands in the body. They do so many different functions, which I can't even cover them all. That could be a whole class just talking about all the things the adrenal glands do. But they're the main thing producing corticosteroids that help buffer inflammation. Inflammation is actually good at times. Your body creates inflammation to bring more fluid and more healing properties to that area. But the adrenal glands are supposed to buffer that at some point and help with that. And if they're not working right, inflammation is going to go rampant throughout the body without anything to put it out. It's like a wildfire that doesn't have anything to stop it. So, and then there is injury that can cause pain and inflammation. And of course, we need to pay attention. Did we actually injure something? And you should actually seek some medical advice if you think you did break something, tear something, something like that, because they can actually find out what is actually wrong. But although I wouldn't necessarily trust their methods of healing it, but you can actually figure out what's going wrong, and then again, feeding your body the things that are right, because the body heals itself if we give it the right things. And it's ironic that this week I'm talking about pain and inflammation because I happen to have had a little injury myself this weekend, and which I don't normally get injured. And I don't know that I would call it an injury, but I was lifting weights and going a little harder than I should have, and I started to have a little tightness in one area of my back, and I said, no, I'm going to be fine. I'll finish my workout. I'm a guy, I'm kind of hard-headed, and there I go, keep on going. All of a sudden, tightened up on me in my upper back, and so I slightly pulled something, strained something. I don't know. It wasn't too bad, but it was in a place where it was affecting my nerves and up into my neck where I couldn't turn my neck all the way either side, and it was causing pain sleeping. And so a lot of the things I'm going to talk about, I've been using this last week to help my own pain and inflammation, and heal myself. And thank God I'm feeling a lot better. But it's just ironic that the 1 week I'm talking about pain and inflammation, I have something happen, and I'm using all the stuff that I'm talking about. So I'll get to the herbs in a minute. But another big concept is people of today's world, we want a quick fix. Therefore, the drugs. Give me a pill, and I can take it, and everything will go away. Obviously, that's not proper thinking, and that's not going to lead to health. Even in the herbal realm, I talked about this in the introductory class to herbs, how the same mentality that applies to the pharmaceutical world applies to the natural world. People come into our store and come and talk to me and say, hey, I have a headache, I have pain, what can you give me? And so, yeah, we got something natural that you can take, and it can help with that pain and inflammation. It's not going to fix the problem, the reason you had that pain and inflammation, so I always try to get deeper. There are natural things you can use that aren't going to harm you, and they are going to help, and that's necessary sometimes. But let's figure out the root of what's going on and address that and heal that so that you don't have the pain and inflammation anymore, and you don't need to take something for it. So, even in the herbal realm, I always like to give the, so that's why I address the acidosis, the toxicity. At the end, I'm going to give some quick recommendations on what I would do for somebody that has chronic pain and inflammation. But the synthetic drug world, it's more harmful than it is good. It's not a fix at all. Like I said, it's just covering up symptoms. and actually it's causing more harm than good. So thank God for herbals. They do help. But yeah, addressing the root of what's going on. So yeah, why herbs? I went through a lot of that in the first class, but herbs are like the most powerful form of what God created. They're a lot of the fruits and the vegetables of today, they've been hybridized, they've been even altered somewhat from the way God originally designed them. So the herbs typically haven't been altered. They still carry that original design, that original awareness, whatever you want to call it, the original energetics and properties that God created it with. So the herbs have been found to have all sorts of special compounds in higher concentrations than anything else. Tannins and enzymes and again, I'm not the detail person, but all these specific, hormone precursors and all these things in them that are in higher amounts than anything else. So we consume herbs. They're a whole food. We can consume them, but they're going to have the strongest effects on disease, on tissue, on regenerating tissue, nourishing tissue, down to the cellular level. So, I love herbs, and there's so many cool ones that God created. So, yeah, I guess we can get into these herbs. It's always hard with each of these classes because there's so many awesome herbs. I don't want to always overwhelm people with different ones, but this is a good list of the most popular ones for pain and inflammation. Number one being turmeric, which, you guys familiar with turmeric? So the Indians use it a lot for cooking and for spices, but turmeric is a very strong, powerful anti-inflammatory properties to it. It's been used for thousands of years. It's also very good for the liver and for the blood. They use it all over the world as a first-rate remedy for arthritis, for pain, for joint pain. It's got really high amounts of some of those anti-inflammatory agents in it that help alleviate pain and inflammation. Yeah, and they've even done studies on how it's more effective than some over-the-counter medicines, even for the pain. And it doesn't throw your body out of balance. It just nourishes. Like I said, it's got those side benefits. So you might take it for the pain and inflammation, but it's going to actually help nourish and cleanse your liver. It's going to cleanse your blood. It's going to do all sorts of other things. So, countless studies have been done that show no toxicity. So, turmeric is something you can add into food. You can take it. A lot of times the active ingredient in it, the most active ingredient is curcumin. Some people have heard of that because they'll actually extract the curcumin out of the turmeric and then make a concentrate. So you can buy a concentrate, and that's actually the most potent form if you have really bad pain and inflammation. I would suggest doing a concentrated curcumin. But turmeric on a daily basis is just great for the body. So another one, cat's claw. This is maybe one that people aren't as familiar with, but it's been known a lot for the immune system. It's very strong for the immune system, but it's also a potent anti-inflammatory. Several alkaloids have been found that specifically help with the immune system, stimulating that, but helping the body reduce inflammation, that type of stuff. So cat's claw is actually a bark of a tree. And so it's actually pretty cheap to get usually. You can find it in several different forms. But cat's claw, another great one for arthritis. Ginger. A lot of people are familiar with ginger. How many of you like the taste of ginger? Yeah? Most of you? Wow, surprise. Some people don't, and it's been an acquired taste for me, but now I love it. I don't know. I put it in my juices. I put it in tea, but fresh ginger is awesome. And it's interesting because it promotes blood flow, blood circulation, but it actually is very anti-inflammatory. So it almost seems counterproductive, but good circulation to the body, but reduces inflammation. So yeah, it's been shown to inhibit the formation of several inflammatory compounds. So some of these I don't even know how they work. I just know they do work, and they've been shown to work for thousands of years. But ginger's got a ton of things it's been known to take. And when you take for your appetite, it helps actually increase appetite. It helps digestion, the digestive system. It's good for cold and flus. It's very warming to the body. So ginger's just awesome that you can use every day as well. Cayenne pepper, very anti-inflammatory. Another one that promotes circulation, promotes blood flow, but very anti-inflammatory. They consider it one of the best remedies for arthritis, pain. Yeah, so it's crazy. And cayenne pepper, a little spicy, but it's good for you. There's a book I read once called The 7 Healers of the World. It's the 7 most known things used in cultures all around the world, the most for healing, and cayenne pepper is one of those. Very good for opening up blood flow in the cardiovascular system, lowering blood pressure, just tons of things. But it stimulates all the cells of the body actually to start healing. So cayenne pepper, another thing that you can add into foods, you can take, just put some in a little tea or whatever. Or you can use it topically too. They put some cayenne pepper in creams. You can put topically under the muscles. Really helps bring blood flow, but also helps remove inflammation. And then we got boswellia. You guys heard of boswellia? Anybody? Frankincense, yes. I didn't know previously for a while that boswellia, the resin that comes out of the tree, is known as frankincense. So I've heard about frankincense oil, and it's been used. I mean, it's all in the Bible for healing, for tons of different things. But yeah, boswellia, the most active compounds in boswellia are found in the resin. And so they extract the resin, and then they can make an essential oil out of it. You can do lots of different things. But yeah, I kind of break down some of the ingredients in there, and some of them, like I said, the chemistry behind it is a little beyond my knowledge. I just know that it works. It's very effective as a pain reliever, buffering inflammation. It's in all sorts of natural pain remedies. Yeah, some studies have found it helpful in treating cancers and leukemia and breast cancer and stuff like that. So again, it goes way back in biblical times where they talk about it in the Bible. It's known for a long time, the frankincense, but very good for pain and inflammation as well. So devil's claw, kind of a weird name. I don't know where it came from, but devil's claw is also another powerful anti-inflammatory. Again, used for a lot of things, but the main thing it's used for today is to relieve arthritis, pain, and inflammation. It's in a lot of, I find it in some sports supplements for like post-workout, for helping buffer the inflammation of working out, but very good to be taken daily to help with arthritis and pain and all that stuff. Bromelain. Bromelain's an interesting one because bromelain, it's an enzyme that helps break down proteins, and it's actually mostly found in pineapple. So if you eat pineapple, you're getting bromelain, but the most concentrated part of it is in the stem, in the core of the pineapple. Most people don't like to eat the core. I found out years ago that it's good and it's fine to eat the core, so I always eat the core of the pineapple anyway. But it's got the highest concentrations of the bromelain. It's a little hard, it's a little more tough, a little more fibery, but really good. But even like they've done studies for therapeutic reasons, for therapeutic benefit, you can't get quite enough bromelain even from the pineapple, so they extract it and make a concentrated powder of just the bromelain. So you can get concentrated bromelain. So yeah, it helps break down food, helps break down proteins, but it's found to be very powerful in alleviating pain, swelling, inflammation. Many experts say that if you want to use it for its digestive benefits, take it with a meal. If you want to use it for its pain and inflammation benefits, take it between meals. Otherwise, it's just going to be used to help break down the food. But you take it between meals, it can go into the body and go where it needs to and be powerful for the inflammation. So, and then we got arnica. Arnica is another interesting. It's from a flower, and it's found to be very, very powerful for inflammation. But arnica can actually be, if you consume it internally, it can actually be toxic to you. So, you got to be careful with that. But most of the people today know they'll extract the actual toxic properties out of it and only leave the other properties. So you can, and most of the time it's in a cream form that you can put on topically anyway. But really good for inflammation. Really good for helping with muscle pain. It's in a lot of like our muscle and joint creams here. But if you just go and grab the flower, it could be toxic. So I make that note in here. And then kind of essential oils. I'm not going to go too in depth on that. I'm not the expert on essential oils, but I do know that essential oils, they're the most concentrated part of the herb, of the plant. They're actually taking a bunch of herb and pressing it and squeezing out just the oils that has the most highest active ingredients of the plant. So it's like a herb on steroids, the oil is. And they're very powerful. So there's a lot of great essential oils that you can use topically, internally. Again, I'm not the expert on essential oils, but I know it's the most powerful form of the herb. So a lot of them that are known for pain relieving and anti-inflammatory, I wrote in here lavender, turmeric, ginger, peppermint, wintergreen, frankincense, copaiba, and eucalyptus. Some of those were already mentioned as foods, but this is going to be the most concentrated form of them. So I love essential oils. I'm learning more about that. But, they can be powerful for therapeutic reasons. I tend to always go back to the basis of always having something in the form that God created it, the whole food. But if you're dealing with something on a higher level, I think it's okay to use the more concentrated forms of it. But we've got to be careful not to even rely on that, because we're altering his initial design. So, and then I go into more pain-relieving herbs here, where some of these are anti-inflammatory too, but they're more known for their pain-relieving and kind of sedating, relaxing effects. So white willow bark. Did you guys know that white willow bark is where aspirin used to come from? So they started to make aspirin, and initially it was from white willow bark. They've since kind of gone away from that, and now it's fully a synthetic. But that's where it came from. We knew for thousands of years that white willow bark, you take the bark of the tree and scrape the inside of it and use it as a tea, and it'll take away your pain. Crazy stuff, but again, we're getting away from God's designs and going to man's, and that's just crazy. So traditionally been used for a long time for relieving pain, renowned for anti-inflammatory, analgesic, treating arthritis, rheumatism, joint pain, muscular pain, headaches, migraines. I think I've heard that it doesn't work quite as quickly as an aspirin, but it actually works longer, and it doesn't have any negative side effects. It's not going to, aspirin thins your blood. White willow bark does not thin your blood. So again, talking about man-made stuff versus God-made stuff. He made things the way he made them for a reason. But yeah, white willow bark, very powerful for pain. Corydalis. This is one that I'm newer to as well, and most people haven't heard of, but it's one of the top non-addictive pain herbs in the world. It's an herb that grows, very powerful for pain. I wouldn't use it for long term, but yeah, it can be very powerful for somebody that is experiencing a lot of pain and needs some help. Like I said, that is needed sometimes. That's okay, but again, we need to address the root of it so that we can cure it. And or actually, I don't even like the word cure, but the body will come back into balance, and you won't have that anymore. But yeah, very excellent for arthritis, rheumatism, calming the nervous system, helping spasms, convulsions, seizures. So yeah, Corydalis, one that people aren't familiar with. But kava kava, kind of similar, more known for its like sedative and antispasmodic, very powerful muscle relaxer. Kava kava, they used to drink it over in, I think, Indonesia. It grows there, and they would make drinks out of it and drink it at nighttime all the time, and it would super relax and calm. It's kind of like instead of alcohol, they're using that, but it's a natural herb. It just does have a very powerful effect on relaxing and calming. It's in a lot of sleep formulas because it's very powerful for calming and allowing you to sleep deeper and better. But it's known for a long time to treat arthritis pain, chronic pain, menstrual discomfort. It's really popular for that. Menstrual pain and cramps, relieving pain and tension in muscles. So yeah, a lot of things you can read more about kava kava. But it is, I make some notes about like kava kava and the next one, valerian. They're very powerful. Like if you don't want to take it in the middle of the day unless you really need to, because they're very relaxant and you could get drowsy. Most of the time they're better to be taken at night. And then getting into valerian. Valerian's known for calming and relaxing. Is some of its biggest things that it's known for. But and used in a lot of sleep formulas again because it's powerful relaxants. But very good for treating pain, helping joints, muscle pain, that type of stuff. But yeah, again, you want to take that type of stuff usually in the evening unless you really need to during the day. And then wild lettuce is the last kind of herb I talk about. I don't have a lot of information on it, but it is in some formulas that I know of, and I hear it's very powerful for headaches, muscle pains, joint pains, relaxing again too. So it's not to be confused with regular lettuce, but it's a special type of lettuce that grows wild, and it's a different strain that it's kind of got a special substance in it that really helps with that stuff. So yeah, those are kind of the main herbs for inflammation and pain, even though there's a lot of them out there. I make some other mentions just for pain and inflammation. Stuff I've heard a lot about. Again, they come from natural sources, and I've seen them used them myself, used it on my back. Castor oil packs. A lot of people, especially the older generations, are familiar with castor oil and using it to clear out the bowels, and it's got a what do you call it, a laxative-like effect if you drink it. But castor oil is very versatile for relieving pain and actually helping heal tissue. It's got a special acid in it. I put it in here somewhere. Ricinoleic acid. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but very high amounts of it. And actually, the castor bean, another mention, is actually toxic too. But when they process it into the oil, they take out the toxic properties of it. But you wouldn't want to ever go get a castor bean and just consume it, because that could kill you. But yeah, it's got this high amount of this specific acid that's really powerful for pain, inflammation, and stimulating the cells. So people have used it for the longest time. You have stomach problems, they put a castor oil pack on the stomach, or back. People have had back injuries, will put castor oil packs every day, and just crazy results of it healing and bringing down the pain and inflammation. And I actually used it on my back too. I said, I know about castor oil packs, and it's really bad, so I put one on there, and you usually soak like a flannel or soak some material, soak it in castor oil, put it on there, put a piece of plastic over it, and then like a heating pad. Do it for about an hour. And you can even put essential oils in there too. But yeah, very powerful for that. People that have hurt their knee, I've heard people doing it on their knee, and their knee getting healed super quick. And so castor oil is very, very powerful for a lot of things. And in the bottom of my description, I kind of explained some other things it's been used for, but especially for like menstrual cramps and women issues and stuff too, on the stomach and abdomen. And then astaxanthin, I mentioned this in the last class, but it's considered nature's most powerful antioxidant. And anything that's an antioxidant is very anti-inflammatory. It's just high in nutrients that helps oxidize free radicals and bring balance back into the tissue. So 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, and I go on to explain. But yeah, it's very important for athletes to know this. It's super important for their muscles, their joints, their tendons. It just helps nourish and bring down inflammation. So love astaxanthin. I've been taking it for years, and a lot of athletes are huge on it. There are synthetic forms of astaxanthin out there that aren't good. Anything synthetic is not good. Astaxanthin only grows on a specific type of red algae. It gives it that red color where it's out in the sun all day long, and it's producing this astaxanthin to actually protect the algae from the sun. And it does the same thing with our body. It protects our cells. So people take it and they don't get sunburned anymore, or they don't get sunburned as bad, or if they do get sunburned, it takes way longer, and then the next day they're completely tan again. Just crazy stories. But yeah, it's got the same protecting abilities on our joints, our muscles, our tendons, our eyes, all that stuff. So and then last kind of suggestions is put in letter Q here: alkalize, and detox, because that's the key to health in general. But of course, it's the key to taking care of pain and inflammation as well. So getting back to the way God designed things, eating the way He created them, the fresh fruits, the fresh vegetables, the herbs, the nuts, the seeds. Trying to stay away from the man-made processed foods and the highly cooked and refined foods as well. So yeah, I put acids and toxins are the main factors in creating pain and inflammation. So yeah, some of the keys to alkalizing and detoxing: eat a lot of greens. Anything green, the more green it is, the more alkalizing it is. And usually the more nutrients are in it too. So spinach, kale, alfalfa, wheatgrass. I love alfalfa because They say that the roots of the alfalfa plant go down sometimes 30, 50, 60 feet into the ground searching for nutrients. So the alfalfa gets super strong. People know this when they raise horses. If you want to muscle up a horse and you want to get him fit, feed him a bunch of alfalfa. Gives him a lot of energy. Oh, yeah. And it does the same thing to us. You know, who would have known? But you can get alfalfa. It's kind of weird to eat by itself, but you can get the alfalfa powder, or you can even get what's more powerful is the alfalfa juice powder. They'll take the alfalfa and they'll juice it, and then they'll freeze dry it, so it's way more concentrated. You're getting all the nutrients, everything in a super concentrated form. So yeah, and same thing with, you know, wheatgrass has been known, but any of those greens, I mean, cucumber, celery, any of that stuff, spirulina, that stuff's very alkalizing and energizing to the body and detoxifying. So lemon, another super alkalizing fruit or vegetable, whatever you want to call it. It's a fruit, yeah, because it's got seeds. I know, but it sounds crazy to people. Lemon by itself is actually acidic, right? You eat a lemon, it's sour and it's acidic and all that, but when your body processes it, it actually leaves an alkaline reaction. So it's not always what the food is by itself, but it's how your body reacts to it. In the last class when I went through acid-alkaline balance, I kind of explained that a little bit, and there are charts out there that you can get that show the acid and alkaline forming foods, because it's what's left behind after your body processes it. So lemons are actually one of the most alkalizing things you can consume. Very alkalizing. I love putting it in juices. Baking soda, another thing, and in extreme cases, you can take baking soda. There's books written on using baking soda just for healing cancer, for alkalizing, for all this stuff. There's actually doctors that go in and they'll inject baking soda, a solution of baking soda, right onto a tumor, and it dissolves it, destroys it. Just amazing. Because cancer can't survive in an alkaline environment, you're putting this highly alkaline stuff right on the tumor. But the same thing is you can consume it, and it goes systemically wide in your body. Yeah, you want to be careful about not having too much of it or having it with a meal, because it can dilute the stomach acid. But if you take it at least 30 minutes or an hour before a meal, it's fine.
But it's a special thing, so it's not what you find in stores, right?
Yeah, good question. Most of the ones at the store, the baking sodas are processed. There are some good ones out there, but yeah, baking soda comes out of the ground. It's sodium bicarbonate, and like we carry a raw baking soda that's unprocessed. It's got the whole thing in it. So I'm not the expert on that, but I know, you don't want it processed because, again, it's been altered. You want it the way it's coming right out of the ground. But very powerful alkalizing effect. So, and then strengthening the adrenal glands at the end. So like I said, you can go back to class 1 that talks more about the adrenal glands, but they're the most important things for buffering pain and inflammation in the body, producing those steroids. So the adrenals, like I said, are so key for so many things that you want to take care of them. So key, like I said, you can go back to class 1 for more details, but key suggestions at the end here. Don't consume artificial stimulants, processed sugars, because those just rob from your adrenal glands. Lower your stress levels. Take more time to meditate, talk to God, be out in nature, sleep properly. If you're not sleeping properly, it's going to put more burden on the adrenal glands because they're producing stuff to give you energy, and you could be overburdening them for that. So sleeping properly, it helps rejuvenate the whole body. Get out in the sun. Our body was designed to absorb sun, and it's actually very nourishing to the body. Of course, you can have too much of anything, so don't go out in the sun for 10 hours just because I say go out in the sun, but we need to get out in the sun, and it's very good for the adrenal glands. And then use...
I think the problem with the sun, there's no problem with the sun, but people are too acidic.
Yes.
And then they go, it's like mixing ammonia and bleach.
Yeah.
They blame the sun when it's the person's body content.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's not a problem with the sun. God didn't make a mistake in making the sun. Cultures have been out in the sun for their whole life. But yeah, you're right. The more people are alkaline, the more they can absorb more sun and utilize it. So it's kind of like a plant too. I've explained this to people. A plant is green and it absorbs the sun, and it's that chlorophyll that actually processes the sun and uses energy and absorbs that energy of the sun. Well, the more greens we eat, the more it does the same thing in our body. The more greens I eat, the more I can be out in the sun and not get damaged. But yeah, when our body's not in line, we're going to burn easy. It's going to cause issues. So you never want to get burned because that's too much. But yeah, very good point. Yeah, and then use herbs to strengthen and rebuild the adrenals. There's a lot of herbs that are powerful, like licorice, Siberian ginseng, rhodiola, astragalus, holy basil. Again, I go through that more in depth on class 1. But yeah, adrenals are key. So then I put a cool little recipe at the end here. I do a lot of juicing and smoothies because I find those are easy ways for me to consume high amounts of fruits and vegetables and stuff. So a good alkalizing and detoxifying green juice. I make this regularly. I sometimes switch out some things or add some herbs. But yeah, an apple, 1 cucumber, 5 stalks of celery, 1 lemon, 2 handfuls of spinach, 5 to 6 stalks of kale, a half a bunch of cilantro and or a bunch of parsley as well, a handful of mint, and then optionally you can put some ginger and turmeric in there, which I like to do, which are good for pain and inflammation, but are just good for the body in general. That makes it good, balanced. You've got your sweets, your potent, your sour all together in one drink. It's amazing. Super alkalizing to the body and helps your body detox. So on top of eating just a lot of, like I said, high fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and herbs. But it's a cool little recipe you can try that I do quite often and really enjoy. So yeah, I think that's all I got for this class.
Say the ginger and the turmeric, or when you're talking about turmeric and ginger and all those, what types? I mean, like, I know you can buy the raw ginger and grate it. I've never used that.
Yeah.
Like the powdered forms, or, I mean, what's the best one?
Sure.
The raw one?
It's a good question.
How much do you use?
Yeah.
Stronger, isn't it?
I'll repeat the question for the camera real quick. So the question is, using like turmeric and ginger, what form to use it, because you can get it powdered, dried, you can get it fresh, you can get it capsuled. It just varies. The best is always going to be fresh. Fresh, like grow it in your own garden, pull it out and eat it. But even buying it from the store, I mean, that's the next best option. How much to use? I mean, for example, for a juice like that, I've come to really like ginger and turmeric. They are more potent, but I'll use like a chunk about that big of ginger. You might want to start with maybe a smaller amount, like an inch or a half inch of ginger, and just cut the root and throw it in a juice. But you can cut little slivers of it and put it in your tea, steep it in your tea. Even when I put it in tea, I'll eat the ginger at the end too, and it's very kind of potent. It's kind of spicy, but I've come to like it. Same thing with turmeric. I don't do a lot of turmeric, but I do put it in juices sometimes, or use a little bit of the powder in cooking. So powders are okay too, but it's going to be better, fresher, more potent, natural. And then you can get the concentrates too, which are going to concentrate the active ingredient, but aren't going to have the whole food benefit. So maybe that kind of helps. But yeah, ginger's kind of, you got to go kind of by your taste. It is a whole food. I mean, you could maybe overdo it, but it's kind of hard to do.
We love garlic.
Too much garlic. Yeah. Yeah, what other questions do you guys maybe have for me that I can try to answer? Yes.
What kind of powders would you suggest? Like, let's say I have all this, but I want to add other stuff, like a combination of superfood green powders. You know, there's so many in the market. Just want to know your take on all that.
And what kind of powders to use, because there's so many on the market.
Like a brand that has all of them. And
like a brand that's a good brand. So that's a good point. There's a lot of stuff on the market. There are a lot of different ones out there. I mean, you really got to know your source and know where they're getting it from and know that it's a high quality, because people are, again, even taking God-made stuff and they're making it in places where they're not taking care of the soil and it's not getting the nutrients that it needs. So you got to trust the company you're getting it from. I mean, there's a couple companies out there that I know are really good and that we carry here. I try not to steer too much into like pointing people to certain companies, but it's a good question. So like Vibrant Health is a really good company. They're all organic or wild crafted. They're super high on their purity. Another one, Aloe Life. We carry them here, and they have a great greens formula, super high quality. But the Vibrant Health has a greens formula that has probiotics, herbs, greens in it. They also have a Max Vibrance. That's a whole meal replacement that has additional nutrients and protein. And yeah, and I don't know specifically what's in each one of them. You'd have to look, but you could add, you know, sometimes I'll use those pre-made powders. A lot of times I'll use just them individually and mix my own, which I like to do because then I really know the amounts I'm getting of everything. Even though Vibrant Health's really good, it'll tell you specifically each item and how much of it is and where they're getting it from. And but yeah, I mean, there's several good companies on the market. I don't know if that kind of helps to answer your question, but yeah. So sometimes I'll use a pre-made one and then I'll maybe add some other herbs of my own, or I'll just do my own concoction of individual herbs where I know the amounts, I know I'm getting it from a good source, but yeah.
Would you consider, like using just green powder, any kind of powders like that, or whatever herbs, for, like, in the morning, I'm rushed out the door, I don't have time to make a shake, but I have just powders.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
The question is, what do I think? Using the powders like when you're in a hurry, when you're in a rush, is that a good option to go to? Yes. Yeah, definitely. And like Vibrant Health has their Max Vibrance, it's a whole meal replacement. And some other top companies have the same thing. It's like a whole meal replacement where you can just throw a scoop of it, boom, put some water or some coconut milk, shake it, and go. And it's got your herbs, it's got your greens, it's got some, you know, good quality protein. It's got all that stuff. So that's a great option when you're in a hurry. I do a lot of smoothies. I mean, I'm kind of like on the go a lot too. And for me, a smoothie, you know, just takes a minute or two, and throw some fruit, throw some herbs, throw some greens, blend it up, put it in a shake, and go. And then I'm just drinking it on my way or while I'm here at work. But yeah, I think that's a great option when you're in a hurry and loaded with nutrients. So, yes.
On the astaxanthin, I'm not sure if I said that right, but you said the natural form is by far better.
Mm.
Where do you guys have the natural form of
Yeah, so you're talking about the astaxanthin and how I said the natural, I know it's kind of a hard word, astaxanthin. I've said it a lot of times. So but that I said the natural form is better, and they do make a synthetic form, and where can you get it? Again, there's a lot of companies out there that are advertising astaxanthin, and we do carry a product here by, actually I don't remember, by Nutrex, thank you, by Nutrex, and it comes from Hawaii, and they grow it naturally. It's huge things where they grow the red algae. We've just found them to be a really high quality company. There are others out there. But yeah, any company you want to look into, you want to know their source. You want to make sure they're doing high quality. There's
the name of the company again?
Nutrex. Nutrex is a company that we carry, astaxanthin, that we've just found to be very high quality, reasonable price. Yeah, and there's a supplement that I take that is just 1 pill a day, and it gives you like 12 milligrams of astaxanthin, and it's a good product that I've taken a long time for just athletics and just general health. And but yeah, there are others out there. You want to look into the background of what they're doing on it. So anything we carry here, we've done our due diligence on really knowing our source, knowing where we get it from, because we only want to carry the highest quality stuff. But yeah, there are other good companies out there too. So hopefully that helps. Astaxanthin.
Never mind. That is red algae.
It's a component of the red algae.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's what gives it its red. So really, the only way you can get it naturally is from the red algae or the animals and plants that consume the red algae. So like crabs and shellfish, lobsters that get the red color, they're eating the red algae, and then they're getting that in their skin. Salmon. Yeah, I'm not saying to eat shellfish. I'm just saying salmon also gets some of its color from red algae too. So
that's all right.
But yeah, the best form is just getting the potent. It'd be cool to just eat the algae, but that's kind of hard to do in our region here. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, seaweeds, algae is very nutritious for you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, guys. And a couple of mentions for the classes going forward, if you guys are interested. I'm going to be putting, by the end of the week, up the schedule of the rest of the classes and what I'm going to be doing on each one. But I have the order here if you're interested in knowing what's next and all that. So next week will be cleansing and detoxing. We'll be going through several aspects of that, cleansing the bowels, parasites. We don't like to talk about parasites, but they're important. Different cleansing, detoxing for the whole body. So that'll be next week. The week after that, I'm going to be going through, which I'm really excited for that one, we'll be talking about blood, the circulation system, and the lymphatic system. Most people know about the blood and circulation, but they don't know about the lymphatic system. So I'm going to talk about both because actually the lymphatic system is arguably, again, one of the most important things for our body. It's said that we have more lymph fluid in our body than we do blood, and that there are more pathways of lymph than there are like veins and arteries. So I don't know if that's completely true, but either way, there's a lot of it, and it's important. It's important to know what it's for and how to move it and how it can get stagnant and cause disease. So that'll be the week after. Then I'll be going through liver, gallbladder, kidney, their importance and how to keep them healthy. The week after that,